Hello everybody! Today we are continuing our series where we're looking kind of at everything in 1.17 and really breaking it down so that people can understand every single feature about 1.17. Today we are looking at copper. Copper is a new ore in Minecraft which can be made into a whole bunch of different building blocks, a few items, and it generates naturally in the world all the way down to 0 and all the way up to, I think it's 96 here. We'll hit our F3 and just take a look at it. Yeah, 96. So this is the maximum, and you can see the water level right down there. So basically, you won't get any copper in big hills, and you'll very rarely get it far down into the world. You can imagine the spawning pattern of this as a giant cone, where basically it's at 0 at these two extremes, 96 and at 0 down there. So if we take 96 and divide it by 2, we get around 47 and 48. And this is where copper is going to become most prevalent in your world. So just like how 12 or 11 is where you should search for diamonds, if you are searching for copper, make sure that your Y level, which is the number in the center there, is around 47 or 48, which is this sort of indicator right here. Right there, that's where the water is. So you can see that you don't have to go too far down from where, whoa, I'm in a cave, from where water spawns in order to get to the maximum amount of copper spawns. In this area right here, I just got rid of every block that wasn't copper to hopefully kind of give you an indication of where copper is spawning. So we have a little bit up there. We have quite a few blobs in this general area, and then we get a lot less. Now, we actually do have one spawning down here in the deep slate right next to bedrock. So it is possible. It's just very, very rare to get your copper to spawn down there. Here are obviously the two varieties of copper that we have, just normal copper and the deep slate version of the copper ore. When you find this and pick it up with a pick, it will drop raw copper. This is a change in 1.17 where iron, gold, and the new ore copper will drop a raw variant of the ore, and that means that fortune will work on this block. So if you have a fortune 3 pick, you can use that on copper and you'll get more raw copper as a result. After you put that into a furnace or a blast furnace, that's the word I was looking for, then you will get the output, which is just a copper ingot. This ingot can be used to craft 3 different items, one of which is the super awesome and popular spyglass. So 2 copper and an amethyst shard allows you to make the spyglass. Next is the lightning rod, and this will take lightning that is gonna strike in a general vicinity, and it will redirect it to the lightning rod. So if you put this on top of a wooden house, it will not catch fire, which is super awesome. And the last thing that this can make is a copper block, which is, pretty obvious, I guess. You'd expect copper ingots to make a copper block. Well, there you go. It does. Before we get to the blocks, I do want to mention that the raw copper can make these raw blocks of copper, and they can be switched back into just raw copper if you want. So there you go. If you like the look of that block, you can make that out of the raw variant of copper. So copper blocks, and really anything that you're going to make out of copper, has the option to oxidize over time. And so you'll see as I'm going through all the blocks, there's going to be 4 different variations of the oxidation. We have just the normal block without any weathering at all. Then we have a weathered variant of that, and that's going to start off at the exposed level. Then it's going to go up to the next level, which is weathered, and then the last level is oxidized. So you have the 4 levels of copper oxidation right there. So all the blocks that you can make are the copper block. You can also make a cut copper block, and there's all the different shades of green that it comes in. The cut copper block can then be made into slabs or into stairs. And those are your options when it comes to copper. You can use a stone cutter to pull this off. So I'm going to grab my block of copper, throw it in there, and you can see we get cut copper, copper slabs, and copper stairs. You can also just do this in a crafting table if you would like. So you can get your cut copper just by putting 4 copper into a 2x2. Then you can make your slabs this way and your stairs that way. So the crafting table recipes all still work. You may have noticed as I'm showing these off that these aren't just normal blocks, that they have a word in front of them: waxed, waxed exposed, waxed weathered, waxed oxidized copper. So all these blocks that I've been showing you are waxed. And that is the way to stop the oxidation process. So if you have the copper how you like it, and you don't want it to change from one state to the next, and that'll just happen over time. If I didn't mention that before, but that's pretty obvious. That'll just happen over time. Then you can put your copper in wax. So I'll take the wax off with this axe here, and then I could have honeycomb, and you throw that on there, and then it will not change states. So you can use honeycomb to do this. You can either click directly onto the block that you want to be waxed, or you can go into a crafting table, and this is just a normal block of copper, and you can take your honeycomb and set it next to it, and the output is also waxed. So if you want to use a crafting table, you can, and that'll work with any of the copper types. So copper does the same thing, stairs and slabs, they all do that. The axe is how you would remove that wax, and you can see the particles that happen when you remove the wax from the copper. And then if you want to add it back, you get more of a golden type of particle. So here we'll do unwax and then wax. I was trying to get them at the same moment, but anyway, I couldn't. So that copper oxidized before I had it waxed. You can actually remove copper oxidation. There's actually a few ways to do it, but we're going to cover the most obvious one, which is to use an axe. And if you right click, it will unoxidize that copper. And so, oh my gosh, so this one really wants to, there we go. Okay, it's been waxed. It will not update on me. By the way, I have my game running really fast, so normally copper does not oxidize that fast. The other way to get copper to unoxidize is by getting it hit with a lightning bolt. And so if I come on over here and I just summon some lightning right on me, you can see that where that lightning struck, it unoxidized the copper. Now you'll notice that this half is not changing. The side over here, that one isn't being unoxidized. And the reason is because that is the waxed version of copper. So if you wax your copper, then the deoxidization, is that even a word? That will not happen to your copper, because it's been waxed. So if it's waxed, then even lightning cannot change your copper. So how long does it take copper to actually age from one state to the next? I have my game running super duper fast, so you'll notice that the oxidation is going to pop in here pretty quickly. Now Minecraft goes through a lot of different rules to actually bring the oxidation level up from one block, from one state to the next. And it is quite complicated. So basically, every game tick, there is a chance that a copper block is going to decide, okay, it is time to start the oxidation process. So it's time for me to go from one state to another. But it's not as simple as that, where it just immediately jumps state. What it will do is it will perform a check, and it will look at all the blocks around it, all the unwaxed copper blocks around it, and it will try to look for another waxed copper or another copper block that has not aged, that is at a lower age than it. So let's say that this exposed copper right here wants to advance to the next state. It's going to look in a 4x4 area around it, or I guess it might be an 8x8, and it's going to look for any type of block that is younger than it. And it's definitely going to achieve that because you have all of these other younger blocks in a way. And if it finds a younger block, it's going to stop. It will not age past that. And so that way, basically, you're not going to have one block be this totally oxidized version, and then you still have some younger blocks around it. It's going to basically age sort of in progression, in a certain pattern where it goes from one state to the next state to the next state. And that's because once a block decides, okay, it's time to change, it says, oh, wait, you're actually younger than me, so I'm not going to go a level above. I'm not going to age at all. Now, you could have a thing where you have a large enough area where that check that it does is outside of where, where it's performing that check. So you could have a huge area that will have, an older oxidation level, but in small builds, you're never going to have that. So you'll notice that basically we're not going to get to the next layer or level of age until there is a big enough spot. So maybe one over here could start to age up, and it looks like this whole bottom half could start that process. But this top half, it couldn't do it because it still has those younger blocks there. Once that one does that, maybe we might see some down here. So it is a little bit more complicated than, oh, it's my turn to age up. It does this check to see if there's any blocks around it that are younger than it, and it'll stop the aging process if there are. So that's how aging works. It takes a long time. So basically, for each block, a rule of thumb is that every 20 minutes, it might try to age up. So if you had a perfect situation, where literally it all works out absolutely perfectly, there's 4 different levels. So from this first level, it'd be 20 minutes. The next level would be 40 minutes. And the next level, it would be 60 minutes. So an hour just if everything was working perfectly. And obviously, there's going to be blocks that are going to be younger. So it would take even longer. There we go. We got our first. I was like, what is taking so long with this? Exposed copper. Come on, let's go. So if you're playing on a Minecraft server or world that has normal game speed, this could easily take like a real life day next to this stuff. So it will take a very, very, very long time. And that's basically all there is to know about copper. I hope that you found something in this video useful and new and fresh to you, and that this will help you in your builds and in your world. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. That really does help me out. Leave a comment down below. Share this with your friends. And also subscribe for future videos. We're going to be talking a lot about 1.17 in the next few weeks. So hit the subscribe button. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in another video. Bye.